the Middleton mystery. Now, here's where the story gets truly fascinating. To understand why Queen Elizabeth chose Catherine as a key to the monarchy's future, you have to know the woman behind the tiara. And trust me, the real Catherine Middleton story is far more compelling than any tabloid fantasy. Rewind to 1982. Ronald Reagan is in the White House. ABBA is breaking up, and in a hospital in Reading, a baby girl named Catherine Elizabeth Middleton is born. With no fanfare, no titles, and no hint that one day the Queen of England will be plotting to hand her the keys to the kingdom. Her parents? Middle-class flight crew. Her destiny? Whatever she made of it. But Catherine wasn't just growing up. She was quietly building something remarkable. When her family moved to Jordan when she was just 2, Catherine didn't merely tag along. Teachers there noticed her early ability to adapt, to cross language barriers, make friends, and find joy in the unfamiliar. Back in England, at St. Andrew's School, the 8-year-old wasn't dreaming of palaces. She was playing field hockey with fierce determination and organizing charity bake sales with military precision. A teacher who wished to remain anonymous once said, "When Catherine decided something needed doing, it got done, but she made everyone feel like it was their idea." Her mother's party supplies business? Catherine was there at age 5, packing boxes and learning firsthand that success comes from early mornings, hard work, and paper cuts, not waving from balconies. When the business flourished, the family didn't rest on their laurels. Instead, they invested heavily in their children's education and experiences, not to buy status, but to build character. At Marlborough College, while classmates were sneaking cigarettes and testing limits, Catherine was completing the Duke of Edinburgh Gold Award, military-grade outdoor survival training, months of preparation, mountain expeditions in freezing rain, and community service until her hands bled. The future Princess of Wales learned to read maps in the dark, build shelters from scratch, and push through pain when every muscle begged her to quit. And her gap year? While Prince William played polo in Argentina, Catherine scrubbed boat decks in Southampton. Picture this: the woman who would one day wear crown jewels, up at dawn, hands raw from rope work, learning what real labor feels like. No photographers, no glamour, just sweat, salt air, and the quiet pride of a job well done. The St. Andrew's Secret. September 2001. The world was reeling from the Twin Towers collapse. Chaos unfolding everywhere. Meanwhile, at a quiet Scottish university, 2 young people were about to meet in the most unremarkable way imaginable. But here's the twist. Catherine didn't enroll at St. Andrews to meet a prince. She came to study art history simply because she loved it. William happened to be in her class. Former classmates paint a picture that utterly shatters the gold digger myth. Catherine treated William like any other student. When he struggled with an essay, she didn't swoon. She told him his arguments were weak and patiently showed him how to improve. When they ended up sharing a residence hall, she enforced the cleaning schedule with strict fairness. Prince or not, if it was your turn to scrub the communal bathroom, you scrubbed. But the real kicker? While other girls threw themselves at William, Catherine threw herself into her studies. She joined the Lumsden Club, organizing charity fashion shows, and waitressed at local restaurants. And I mean really waitressed, carrying heavy trays, dealing with drunk students, and miserable tips. One night, William reportedly walked in to find his future wife mopping up someone's spilled beer. Instead of embarrassment, she laughed and handed him a mop. Their relationship grew in private moments. Late-night talks about art, philosophy, and whether the monarchy even mattered anymore. Catherine challenged William, supported him, and most importantly, saw him as William, not the future king. When they moved in together with friends, she insisted on equal rent payments, cooked spaghetti bolognese every Wednesday, and sang off-key in the shower. She was magnificently, unapologetically normal. Then came 2007. The breakup heard round the world. While tabloids screamed and photographers stalked, Catherine did something extraordinary. She simply lived, worked at her parents' company, organizing catalogs and managing accounts, hit London clubs with friends, danced until dawn, trained for a charity boat race. Through it all, she maintained a quiet dignity that even hardened paparazzi grudgingly respected. She never gave us the photo. One photographer admitted later, no tears, no drama. Just this quiet strength that made you feel like a bit of a bastard for following her. When William returned, and insiders say he practically begged, something had changed fundamentally. He no longer saw Catherine as just his girlfriend, but as his equal, a woman who had proven she didn't need the royal life, which made her perfect for it. This wasn't just a love story. It was a quiet forging of a future queen, built on grit, grace, and genuine strength. But the question remains, how did Catherine's remarkable journey shape the secret plan the queen entrusted to Princess N, and what does it mean for the future of the monarchy? Stay with us as we uncover the next chapter in this royal saga, one that could redefine everything we thought we knew about power, legacy, and the crown itself. The Royal Revolutionary. April 29, 2011. 2 billion people around the world watched as Catherine Middleton walked down the aisle of Westminster Abbey. But here's what the cameras missed. In the car on the way to the ceremony, Catherine reportedly turned to her father and said, "From today, everything changes, but I'm still me. Help me remember that." And that's exactly what she did. While the world expected Diana 2.0, Catherine delivered something far more radical. Herself. No victim narrative. No palace wars. Just quiet, devastating effectiveness. She didn't rebel against royal protocol. She mastered it so completely she could bend it without anyone noticing. Take her charity work. Most royals show up, shake hands, then leave. Catherine? She remembers names from visits years ago. Shows up unannounced to check progress. One hospice worker shared. She visited officially in 2012. Then one day in 2014, no cameras, no entourage. She just appeared. Sat with a dying child for 3 hours. Held the mother while she cried. Never told anyone. The hair donation story? That's just the tip of the iceberg. Palace insiders whisper about Catherine personally funding families in crisis, calling survivors of tragedies months later to check in, and writing handwritten letters to every child she meets battling serious illness. One aide reportedly said, "She keeps a notebook. Every person who's touched her heart goes in it. She follows their stories for years." But here's where Catherine's genius really shines. While doing all this, she never overshadowed William, never competed with Charles. She became indispensable by appearing dispensable. She revolutionized royal engagement by making it look effortless. She turned walkabouts into art forms, made tiaras feel accessible, and transformed state banquets into moments of genuine diplomacy. Her approach to raising royal children? Revolutionary, disguised as traditional. While previous generations handed babies off to nannies, Catherine does school runs, makes packed lunches, teaches George to ride his bike in the Kensington Palace Gardens. But, and this is crucial, she also teaches them their destiny. One source close to the family revealed, she tells them they're special not because of what they were born, but because of what they must become. The impossible choice. Then came the moment that stopped everyone cold. When Catherine was finally told about the Queen's letter, when the full weight of what was being suggested hit her, she didn't grab for power. She didn't calculate political advantage. She did something so unexpected, so profoundly right, that it proved the Queen's judgment beyond any doubt. While many desire to lead monarchy, Catherine said, her voice steady despite the earthquake beneath her feet. Every wife also desires peace within her family. I need time to consider not just what the crown requires, but what love demands. Think about that. Really think about it. Here's a woman being offered the ultimate prize, the dream of dreams, power beyond imagination. And her first thought? Her husband's heart, her family's harmony. The very qualities that made her worthy of the crown were the ones that made her hesitate to take it. William's reaction, according to those present, was extraordinary. For the first time in his life, he saw clearly what his grandmother had seen. Catherine wasn't just his wife. She was a superior in every way that mattered, not by birth, but by character, not through privilege, but through proving the woman he'd married had become something bigger than any title could capture. Charles found himself in an impossible position. His mother's wishes are clear, but constitutionally impossible. Yet Catherine's response had given him something precious. Time to think, space to maneuver, room to imagine a future that honored both tradition and necessity. The monarchy didn't need revolution. It needed evolution, and evolution takes time. This moment wasn't retreat. It was a turning point. Catherine's thoughtful pause showed true strength. Proving leadership is about more than power. It's about purpose. The Queen's vision, Catherine's response, and William's change have set the stage for a new kind of monarchy, one ready to evolve, not collapse. The future unwritten. So here we are. Dawn breaks over London, painting Buckingham Palace in shades of gold and shadow. Inside those walls, the greatest constitutional crisis in modern history unfolds in whispers and careful steps. Catherine continues her work, but everything's different now. When she visits a children's hospital, people wonder, is this their future queen? Not a queen consort, hidden in her husband's shadow, but a queen in her own right. When she speaks about mental health or early childhood development, they hear echoes of the Queen's letter. This is what leadership looks like. This is what the monarchy needs. William watches his wife with new eyes. At public events, he steps back slightly, letting her light shine brighter, not from weakness, but from wisdom. He's beginning to understand that perhaps the greatest kings are those who recognize when someone else should lead. Their private conversations remain private, but body language experts note a new dynamic. Partnership elevated to something almost sacred. Charles navigates carefully. He can't abdicate based on his mother's letter. He can't officially name Catherine as successor, but he can prepare the ground. More responsibilities shift her way. Foreign leaders request audiences specifically with her. The palace machinery, ancient and creaking, slowly reorient itself around a new center of gravity. The British public watches with fascination. Polls show something unprecedented. Support for monarchy rising, but specifically support for Catherine. Young people who dismiss the institution as archaic find themselves defending it, but only when her name's attached. The very groups the monarchy was losing suddenly see a future worth preserving. And perhaps that's the Queen's greatest masterstroke. She didn't create a succession crisis. She created a succession question. Not who should rule, but what kind of ruler the modern world needs. The answer walks palace halls in designer dresses and muddy boots, comforting the grieving and challenging the powerful, proving every day that the best leaders are those who never sought to lead. Tonight, as fog rolls across London again, Catherine sits with her children. Homework help, bedtime stories, normal mother things. But somewhere in her mind turns a question that would define the monarchy's next century. Not whether she can do it. The Queen already answered that, but whether doing it serves a greater good. In that hesitation, that careful weighing of personal happiness against public duty, lies the very quality that made a dying monarch believe she was the only one who could save the crown, the woman who could be queen precisely because she doesn't need to be. Future remains unwritten. But one thing's certain, the monarchy will never be the same. The Queen's final gambit has already succeeded. She's forced evolution through revelation, change through challenge. Whether Catherine officially becomes queen or remains the power behind the throne, she's already transformed what the crown means. And maybe, just maybe, that was the plan all along. The crown is no longer just a symbol. It's a promise of change. Catherine's quiet strength shows us that true leadership comes from heart, not title. The future of the monarchy is uncertain, but one thing is clear. A new era is on the horizon, shaped by those who lead with grace and purpose. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the future of the monarchy, please like, share, and subscribe. Your support means everything, helping bring more stories like this to light. Thanks for watching.